You can't do well on the LSAT if you don't know what's on it. So in this video, I'm going to break down each of the LSAT sections and each of the question types. Hey, what's up everybody? Steve Schwartz here from LSAT Unplugged, joining you today to share what's on the LSAT. Before I get into it, I wanted to let you know that I've put together a free, easy LSAT cheat sheet, and it actually summarizes a lot of what I'm covering in this video. So take a moment, get your copy now, then come back to the video. So the LSAT has three major scored sections: logic games, logical reasoning, and reading comprehension. It also has one unscored experimental section that could be any of those three types: games, reasoning, or reading comp. Then there's also the unscored writing sample, which isn't worth talking about in this video. Not nearly as important as the scored portions of the LSAT. So here, we're just going to focus on games, reasoning, reading comp. I do have other videos covering the writing sample, so search the channel for more on that. So let's walk through them: games, reasoning, reading comp. The logic games section has 4 logic games on it. These are short puzzles requiring you to make deductions and connections between the variables. Diagrams are, of course, useful here. There are several different types of logic games. There are some folks, in my view, who spend too much time over categorizing the different game types. I'm going to try and keep it simple here. We have ordering games, grouping games, and games that combine elements of multiple game types. Ordering games have us relate the variables to each other in some kind of sequence. That could either be a chronological order, or it could be a ranking from best to worst, tallest to shortest, biggest to smallest, or chronological, just simply meaning things happen in a certain order in time. A occurs earlier than B, for example. We then also have grouping games like in and out, aka selection. This means we are choosing some variables, but not others. So some are in, others are out. Then we have grouping matching games, where we are associating variables of one type with variables of another type. For example, there are 10 different clowns. Each clown has a different colored wig. Clown A has a brown wig. Clown B has a yellow wig, for example. And so we are matching the clowns with their wig colors, but we are not putting anything in order. Now imagine if the clowns were getting out of a car in a particular order, in a particular sequence, but we were also assigning them different colored wigs. Then we'd be combining elements of ordering with elements of grouping matching, and that would be a combination game. You do also have more rare game types: pattern games, circle games, games that don't neatly fit the mold, but I would recommend that you master the more common game types like ordering and grouping before you worry about the more rare game types. Now, of course, we also have logical reasoning questions. Logical reasoning is a section consisting of short, bite-sized arguments, and then there's an associated question asking us to either identify something about the argument or to impact the argument in some way. We might be asked to strengthen or weaken the argument, or we might be simply asked to identify the flaw inherent within the argument. There are a lot of different logical reasoning question types. I've covered each one on this channel in depth at various points, so you can always search the channel to go deeper on a particular type. Here, I'm just going to run through the most common logical reasoning question types. We have necessary assumption, sufficient assumption, strengthen, weaken, flaw, evaluate the argument, method of reasoning, inference, role of statement, parallel reasoning, parallel flaw, point at issue, principle, and resolve the paradox. There are some other less common types. These are the biggest ones. Focus on these before you get into the others. I will note that a major misconception I see with students is failing to distinguish between necessary assumption questions and sufficient assumption questions. These are asking for very different things. I posted a video on this very topic recently, so check that out if you want to go deeper, but do make sure that you don't just simply group both of them under the catch-all category of assumption. That would be a major mistake because there are important differences between these two question types. Now, finally, we have the reading comprehension section of the exam. This section may be harder to improve on than logic games, for example, because you've been reading your whole life. Your habits are already largely fixed. However, there are significant things you can do to improve your performance on this section, namely recognizing that you are reading for the structure of the passage, not for the details presented. We have 4 passages in this section, or at least 4 groupings. We have 3 longer passages of approximately 450 words, and then we have 2 shorter dual passages grouped together on a related topic. The 4 general passage topics are natural science, social science, humanities, and law. There are a wide variety of questions associated with each of these reading comp passages. We have main idea or main point questions, which are asking for the central idea of the passage. This is typically going to be the question of why the author wrote this passage, what they are hoping to communicate in the passage. They also ask what is the primary purpose of the passage, which is similar to the main idea, but a bit more abstract in its wording. There are also a variety of other common questions they ask about a passage. I will briefly run through those now. You have specific detail-oriented questions. Going back to the passage is totally fine for those. You have inference questions, meaning in context questions asking you to define a keyword or phrase in the context of the passage. We also have strengthen and weaken, similar to in logical reasoning. We have role of statement questions, again, similar to logical reasoning. Parallel reasoning questions, which are again similar to those you see in logical reasoning, although probably a bit tougher in reading comprehension. We also have questions asking about the author's attitude and questions about how the passage is organized as a whole. So anyway, folks, that's all for now. Of course, I could go a lot deeper into each of these question types and section types, which I have on the channel. So take a look back through the channel. Of course, I go into a lot more depth in my LSAT courses where we have live online classes via Zoom 4 nights a week, on-demand video lessons, small group coaching, and one-on-one coaching as well. So check out the links below this video to find out more and to book a call with me and my team. We'd love to help you out. And if you found the video helpful, please do me a favor, like the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. It really helps with that YouTube algorithm, and I really do appreciate it. In the meantime, I wish you all the best and take care.